So I was requested to put the harness on Z and kind of show you how it works on a smaller bird. It's pretty much the same as a bigger bird, but it's a little different because the harnesses we use are a bit different. It's going to be a bit hard to see what I'm doing because my hand kind of covers her entire body. There's kind of no other way to do it. But pretty much all that's going to be happening is, I'm going to try and, okay, so if this is, stop focusing on my face, the harness initially, this is the head hole, and then this is where their body's going to go through, and this part unclips. Basically you just unclip that and you're going to slide that as big as you can. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be holding her head very lightly. She can still move it. The only reason why my hand is there is because I don't want her like tearing through the harness if she suddenly gets discomforted by it. So if she does start moving her head around and showing that she's uncomfortable with the situation, I can just gently hold her head and remove the harness as fast as possible. So that's the only reason why my hand is there. Then once her head's through, I just gently grab one wing and pull it through this gap here, and then I'll be tightening that and tuck this under the other wing and then clip it onto the biggest main ring, and then it'll be the normal harness shape again. Alright, so let us begin that. She might show a few signs of discomfort just because we haven't been doing a ton of harness stuff today. Not today, recently, but I'm gonna see if I can get a decent video of putting the little harness on her, so let's give it a go. As you can see, I did muff her back feathers a bit, and that's just completely my fault because I just woke up, so fine motor skills are not working. Normally those feathers will be flat down on her back when I put it on, so that is pretty much that. And so I'm just going to quickly take the harness off. Okay, so that was pretty much the entire process of how you do it. Obviously, if your bird is just learning how to use a harness, you don't do all that in one step, you break it down into smaller things. Do not put the entire harness on them and just kind of hold them there, making them not bite it. You do want to move slowly and make sure they're okay with every step of the situation. If you're holding them, you're doing what's known as flooding, and you're forcing them into submission. You're teaching them, it's a very bad training method that lots of people use, and it really is bad because all it does is give them, bad experiences with the harness, and if you hold them there long enough that they stop chewing it, what will actually happen is you're just telling, it's a form of giving up. You're not positively getting to enjoy the experience. The only response you're getting from them is they'll know that no matter how much they bite it, it won't go away, and it really is just making them give up, and it's very dangerous and harmful to them. It's a very bad training method, so definitely do not just force it on them. With this harness, it can be a bit tricky when you're first learning how to do it, because this part is just a typical clasp. So it's kind of small and can be quite difficult to do up on a bird at first, but you do get used to it. So, as you probably noticed, I did scruff her feathers quite a bit. That was because I am half asleep, because I just woke up and have to go to field hockey. But yeah, it should just lay completely flat on their feathers, and it does normally. I was trying to move a bit quicker so I could get everything done. you do need to make sure the experience is very positive the entire time. You want to break it down into different steps and just really make sure they enjoy the entire experience. When they're first learning how to do it with this harness, I let them kind of put their head through the body hole, the larger hole, and then get them used to me touching their back and holding their back, and the bird has to be really comfortable with me holding their head, so when I do that they just stay still. And then I gently just hold their head and step by step just move the harness a bit closer to them every time until gradually I can put the harness over their heads, and I'll just leave it sitting like that, so that's the only part on their body. And then get them comfortable with that, feed them lots of treats, taking it off and putting it back on, lots and lots more treats, and then the bird really has to be comfortable with me moving its wings and manipulating its body. I then would just gently touch the wing, gently open the wing a little bit, gently pull it to the hole, leave it like that, feed them lots of treats the entire time, and then do the same to the other wing. So the entire thing, you really have to be keeping a close eye on their body language. If at any point they are resisting and pulling away, you make sure that you stop what you're doing, that you take the harness off them. If the bird starts biting and ripping at the harness, I try and just gently hold. You hold right under the neck. That's completely kind of solid for them, so don't worry about suffocating them. Make sure that when you are putting it on that you're not restricting their chest movements, because that would be the part that moves. It's not like us where if you press hard enough here you'll suffocate us. With them, if you press on their chest they won't be able to breathe. So do make sure you get an appropriately sized harness. Make sure that when you're putting it on you're not restricting that. If you get a harness like mine that the material isn't stretchy, make sure that there is a small gap. With mine I can probably fit almost my pinky finger under here, a little bit less. I can't quite fit my entire pinky finger. It's almost just enough that I can fit my finger in here, and that allows for their chest movements. If you get one that's a stretchy material, you can fit it just snugly against their chest. Don't be pulling it so tight that it can't move, because a stretchy material should just be able to let them breathe. Good harness brands would be the aviator harness. That's one I really wish they made for smaller birds, because that one really makes the head hole big enough. It really makes sure that the bird can do all the decisions. If you get your bird from an appropriate location, a reputable location, many of them do harness train the birds when they're young, or you can ask them to do it, because that's really the best time for the birds to be getting associated with harnesses. When they're really, really young, they're babies, they really let people manipulate their bodies. So that's like the prime time to be able to do it, but they can learn it at any stage. Z learned it already when she was past a couple months old. She was already kind of finished her baby stage when she started learning it. That is pretty much it in terms of the harness application. Then the lanyard part just connects. There's a secondary little latch here, and then I just pop that on when we're done and go for a walk. What I like to do with this end, you're supposed to just wear this as a ring, but I don't really trust myself just wearing this on my finger, so I didn't bring it in here with me. But I take basically one of those hooks. I should have one on a toy somewhere, but I don't even see it. But I take one of those kind of hooks where you can just press the little latch and it'll open, and I just like clasp it to my jean loop. So that's what I like to do. I feel that's just a lot more secure, and before we go anywhere I always check the harness for any damages or breaks or anything. And I personally chose a harness color that was not the same color as my bird's feathers. I chose one that was very dark and very obvious, so it would be very easy for me to see if anything was going wrong, if anything was breaking, or if anything was, you know, not where it was supposed to be. Make sure that before you go outside, your bird is completely comfortable with the harness. I put mine on Z and we would just walk around the house for a little bit, lots of treats throughout the entire process to make it a really happy thing. First just have it on for 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15. And I think the longest we've had it on was about probably half an hour is probably the longest we've had the harness on so far. With small guys I probably wouldn't want to go longer than that. When you are outside, make sure you do bring food and water, especially if it's really cold. I generally just bring like a small little, just a small little container you can put it in, and I'll just offer to it throughout our walk. and I like to stick to a bit of shady area when it's really hot outside, but we do go out into the sun and have some fun. If you're putting them on plants for pictures, make sure it's a plant that you know does not have any pesticides sprayed on it. Where I am, it's illegal for the city to be spraying pesticides on the forests across the street. And it's just general pesticide usage is actually pretty much illegal in this area, the more serious pesticides. But yeah, so our city doesn't spray pesticides in the natural forest areas. I don't know if they do it on their tiny plantations or not, but and make sure you do keep a very close eye out on predators, even if you think you're there and you're threatening and you'll keep them away. That's not the main concern. There are diseases in wild bird populations that they don't affect us, but they can make our birds very, very ill. So do make sure that you kind of check around first, that you even just kind of pop your head outside for a few minutes and kind of see if there's any birds around that might affect your bird. You may want to look up diseases in your wild population. And I think that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you're both having fun, you're really making sure you're rewarding them throughout the entire process, that you're moving slow. I will link to a really good video on how to harness train your bird from Barbara Heinrich. I'll link that down below so you can see a good instructional how-to video on how to train your bird to wear a harness the proper way. So anyways, I think that's kind of all I have to say. I really do have to get going. I had a really great time. Hopefully that this worked out, and I hope that you have a very fabulous time teaching your bird how to use a harness and putting it on. Definitely make sure that whatever you're doing, you're not forcing them. Make sure that they're totally okay with what you're doing, and just have fun. Don't get frustrated. I know when you're teaching a bird to use a harness, it can take a very, very long time. It can take months, it can take years, and it's very difficult for them, it's very frustrating to them, it's very frustrating to you. Just remember that these guys have got 25 years to live. You've got 25 years to teach them how to use a harness. It's not the end of the world. Until then, you can get like a little bird backpack or just a travel cage and go on walks with them that way. Just really take it slow, and when you do get the harness on, don't get too excited and go bolting out the door and going for a big run. Just take it slow, just start on the doorstep at first, let them see the environment, let them get calm and used to it, and then maybe you can go out to the end of your driveway. Just really keep a close eye on their body language, make sure they're totally comfortable with where you're going, and just, go really slow. Like for the first month, the Z was okay with the harness. We were just kind of standing in the driveway, and that's totally okay because there's a lot of things out there. There's cars, there's people, there's dogs, there's wild birds, there's trees blowing, and it's a very different experience for them. And that's the other thing. Don't go outside when it's excessively cold or excessively windy. What I like to do is I like to look up their natural habitats and the coldest temperature it gets there, and I generally try and stick around that range. I might go a few degrees lower, just a little bit. Definitely not outside when it's a really windy day though. And if we do go out there, keeping a very close eye on them, if I'm seeing that they're getting, if they're fluffing up a bit much, or if their feet and beak are starting to get cold, we'll head back inside, and I'll be keeping them warm the entire time. So just really keep a close eye on all their things. Oh, and if you're outside and it's really hot, if you see that they're holding their beaks open or their tongues may be bobbing up and down and their feathers are streamlined, do get them back inside, get them cooling down, get them a gentle spray bottle if you need to. It's very, very dangerous going out there, so do be careful, to be very hyper aware of your surroundings, and, have fun, okay? So yeah, just be very careful with it. It's, in my opinion, really best if you can go out with someone else, as then one of you could be keeping a close eye on the bird, and another one could be keeping an eye on your surroundings and if there's anything there. But just take it slow. Maybe start in your backyard at first. You're just sitting in your driveway, and have fun with it. Just be careful. And it is very, very beneficial to have your bird harness trained. It really is. But there's obviously a lot of hazards. So just do be careful. Do have fun. And I hope this video was helpful. And I've really got to get going now. I've rambled on for long enough. And so I will see you all next time. All right. Bye.